All right, hey guys, Jason here. We're back up here. Jimmy Britt, the amazing Jimmy Britt. I love this dealership here in Statesboro. These are great people. And they also have something that makes it for a nice video here. We got a lot of lifted vehicles here. 2500s over here. We got 1500s here. We got 1500s here. Another one back there. We got some stuff. We're going to talk today about the misconceptions of lifted vehicles, dealer lifted vehicles included in that. So we want to talk about that. First off, it's important that we discover what's done right so we can explain what's done wrong. Okay, here's my Gladiator, not lifted, but we are on 35, believe it or not. These tires are the same exact tires, same size tires you're seeing on that big old white one right there, that big old lifted white and black Ram, or that big red one right there, okay, those big old trucks that's there. They're on the same exact size tires as my Gladiator is. Okay, same tires as we have on this 392 sitting right here, or this 392 sitting right here. But let's look at this 392. Let's take a look at this right here when we talk about lifted vehicles, because this is lifted. Okay, so we take this, and this thing has got a 1.5 inch lift on it from the factory. That 1.5 inch lift allows these 35s to fit on here over what they would fit on a standard Jeep Rubicon right there. Okay, and actually you can fit these on a Rubicon. You can still fit them on there actually, but over a over a standard Jeep like that blue one, okay, we got a lift on here of 1.5 inches in order to give us enough room to get these 35s and to be able to fully articulate that suspension up and down in there and get full use. So this vehicle is lifted exactly the correct amount of height to give us the maximum clearance we need for these size tires. And you can even fit a 37 on there as well too, on a narrower 37 1150. But it gives us that lift is precise to give us the value. When we lift a truck too high, you lose ride quality. Anytime you start lifting a truck, you're losing ride quality, you're losing geometries for the, now a Jeep is on a solid front axle. A solid front axle means that there is no, when you lift it, they're easy. You don't have to deal with CV axle angles and drop brackets or any of that kind of crap, because you have that solid front axle right there. Beautiful thing. So you don't have to worry about that. But when you start lifting trucks and IFS vehicles, independent front suspension, you start alternating alternating that geometry of those angles, it becomes a real problem. Here we look at two. Here we look at a standard, okay, Ram 1500 truck. And then we also look at a standard Ram 1500 truck and another standard Ram 1500 truck and another standard Ram 1500 truck and another one, okay? They're all standard. However, these two are not. But all these other ones are standard. What do we mean by standard? We mean that they are bare basic bones trucks, okay? This truck here has no rear locker, no skid plates, none of that kind of stuff from the factory. We don't have that luxury, okay? We don't have the gearing, we don't have the suspension geared towards it, we don't have any of that. Okay, this truck here doesn't either. It doesn't even have tow hooks. This one doesn't have tow hooks. This one here doesn't have tow hooks. These two down here, they do not have tow hooks. Why? Because they are standard trucks. They are not the right truck to be lifted. This truck was not the correct truck to lift here. The reason that the dealership chose to lift these trucks is because they are the cheapest versions like this to buy and be able to lift, so they can maximize their dollars. There's no value to this for true off-roading. Again, this vehicle, when you get it stuck, is two-wheel drive. One wheel in the front will do the work, one wheel in the back will do the work for you. It is open differentials, front and rear. However, these two little sweethearts right here are Warlock packages. Okay, these are standard Warlock packages right here. See this beautiful sticker right there? It says Warlock. What does that mean? That means that this has got a rear locker and skid plates, and it's got off-road tires already, and it's got everything that we're looking for. Believe it or not, these two trucks right here will go farther and do more than what these will. Okay, well, you're like, well, no, look at how much higher this one sits. This one doesn't sit that much higher. Okay, we have 33-inch tires here, we have 35-inch tires here. That means we got a 2-inch difference in height here, and then you have this 4-inch lift or whatever they got on this thing, 3.5, 4-inch lift on here. However, the tire height is what sets the value of everything underneath for your axles and mechanicals. This is a 2-inch difference, but since the axles are in the middle half of that diameter is above, half is below. In reality, even though there's a 2-inch difference between a 33 and a 35, we only have 1 inch of gained height because of the axle location. Only 1 inch is below that. So this truck, mechanicals only sit 1 inch higher. And then on top of that, we have this one here. We look at where the control arms are. We look at where everything is on this with this and how it's set up and see that and everything's good there. Well, look at this one. Okay, it was actually, here's a even higher one. You can see it here, even higher lifted on this one. They had to drop everything right back down. See that big bracket right there? Drops everything right back down. So it's all at the same height as what the other one was. They had to drop all the mechanicals back down again. So there's no difference. Okay, so the lift, this huge lift that's on here, is nothing but ego and attitude, and that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's a sexy truck. It looks amazing. Don't get me wrong. These things look great. Rolling down the road, they look good. I mean, this is pride of ownership right here, and they do a fantastic job. This is not an off-road truck. Okay, they're not designed for off-road use, and they didn't build them for off-road use. If they were building them for off-road use, they would have built them out of the bones and structure that was in this truck and what this truck had to offer instead. That's the thing we want to get to. Same with these other ones over here. And when you look at the back of this, again, everything had to come right back down here. You're not gaining anything in here because all you get is tire height to lift the rear axle. This one has the same exact, or only has 1 inch more clearance at the pumpkin with these massive wheels and tires. You only gain 1 more inch of clearance over this one. It's only 1 inch of clearance difference between these two. Okay, and it's because of that factor. So it's worth noting and understanding. And then we come over here and we look at this. Here's a 2500 right here. Okay, so we got this big beast of a limited Longhorn edition Ram 2500 diesel. And then this is a 1500 SST, lifted, hood scoop, the whole thing done. Again, this is a basic truck. But look at how they did all that and jacked it up and made it bigger. Look how it looks bigger. They're sitting between two 2500s. Right here, between two 2500 trucks. However, looks tough as nails yet again. No tow hooks. 2500s have recovery hooks on the front of them. We have no rear locker in this truck. We do not have the off-road package in it one bit. It is a on-road performance look to it. Look at the size of the tires, or the wheels versus the tires on here. It is a street truck made to look good, and it does look good. Here's where your lift comes from right there. That's that block, that whole 5-6 inch block that's right in there right there. That's where that lift comes from right there. And you know, it's like I said, it's designed to be fancy and it looks good, but understand the reality of that. Now, when you're gonna lift a truck and you start talking about, like over here on a diesel truck, we got a couple over here lifted. These are still 1500s, same exact concept. These things look amazing. I love these wheels. Look at, they even got a cool looking caliper guard on there. I mean, like I said, they made them look really nice. They did a good job here, but it is all puck lifts right here. That's what that is right there. But it is, there's this isn't making this truck any better off-road on any kind of level. These are still basic type trucks. Here's a 2500. Somebody owns it, they lifted. I'm assuming that looks lifted to me. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's just because the tires are so wore down and so little. But when you take a 2500 truck and you're going to lift this, it is lifted. We can see it right here. Okay, see here? See that puck right there? That's a lift. Look how much space is in here. But that's a lift right here. He probably had other tires on it and put these on to trade it in, is what I'm guessing. But there's a lift right there. When you go lifting something like this on a diesel, you're definitely gonna sense the ride difference in quality because all the weight of that diesel is on the front. When you're lifting a diesel, you want to lift it right. You don't want a diesel to be a puck style lift like that. You're better off actually calling Carly or some of these companies and getting a very good full, where you're doing full springs and tubes, monotube suspension, or even piggybacks. But you want shocks and springs, and you want it done right on the diesel. Otherwise, you will notice it. If you just go putting a spacer lift in like that on a diesel with all the weight up front, you are going to feel it, and it is going to ride like crap for you. It's going to be miserable. So definitely worth doing it right when you do one of these trucks. And but a diesel, another thing you got to keep in mind with a diesel is that all that weight is in the front. If you are going to off-road a diesel, it is mandatory in a diesel that you pick something that is going to have limited slip in the front, or something with some kind of off-road, more than an open differential in the front end. Very limited options for that. Really, in an off-road world for a diesel, the only two options we have is a diesel power wagon, The Ram Tradesman Power Wagon package, we're going to combine those as one because it's either the true Power Wagon or the Tradesman with the Power Wagon package. Those two will do it. The other one is the F-250 Tremor. These are the only two HD trucks made today that are capable of true off-road stuff. And the reason for it is because in a diesel, every bit of our weight sits in the very front end of this thing. Okay, it's an extra 600 or 700 or 800 pounds of weight for that diesel motor that's in the front that's sitting there and all the stuff that comes along with it to be there. And when you take all that extra weight and put it in the front, and if you only have a rear locker in the back that gives you two wheels, if like in this in full open, you got one wheel spinning back there when you're stuck and one here, you're going nowhere. If you kick in the rear locker, if you have it, you got two back there and only one up here, but this is where all the weight is. Okay, now if you can get a true locker, like in a Power Wagon in the front, or even in a F-250 Tremor where you can get a torsion limited slip in the front of this and make both of these front wheels do the work, and that's where all the weight is, that's your gold mine. Okay, that's the beautiful factor. So lifted trucks, great thing. My advice, don't lift them anything more than you need to, and most importantly, lift the truck model that is right for what you are going to do. If you are looking for street trucks, these two are perfect. Every truck on here is lifted is perfect for street trucks. Okay, this is made to go down the road, down a couple two tracks, things like that, but do not take this, don't think for a second you're going to take this thing anywhere serious. Okay, especially this. Look, they even put the power running boards on it. Okay, those things in the mud, they jam up, they fail all the time. But this truck is designed for the road, 100% for the road. If you want to lift and buy a truck from a dealership, which is good to do, a lifted truck from a dealer means that the warranty work is already there for you. However, most of the time the lifts are going to be more on the cheap side. Okay, they're not going to be that expensive. Rocky Ridge, these lifts are not bad, but what you want is you want them to lift the right vehicle. Again, here, these are street trucks. I don't care how tough and rough they look. They are only two-wheel drive with open front and rear diffs. They are four-wheel drive truck, but because of the open front and rear diffs, when this thing gets into the nasty stuff or gets into trouble, it's really one rear wheel and one front wheel, and they just got little 35s on them. These right here, with the rear locker, the skid plates, and the setup, these two trucks here, stock, will go a lot farther. If you were to take this truck and do this treatment on this truck, now you're gaining a lot more than what you get out of this. It's worth doing it right. So there's my thought for you on lifted stuff. Only lift it as high as you need it. This is ridiculous. Okay, there is no reason to lift something this high. As you see, you got to crank everything right back down again to keep the geometry right. So you did nothing here. This is what we call a body lift. In the old days, this is what we would call body lift because all the mechanicals are still down there. There's no value to this system whatsoever. And again, these tires offer no more clearance or anything else than, I mean, my Gladiator that's sitting right there has way more clearance and way more function and way more capability than this lifted truck does. And I'm on tires that are the same exact size. Okay, so like I said, there's no value to this other than street cred. So if you're gonna buy one lifted to use it off-road, buy it the right way. Buy something that's gonna matter. Here's a standard Willys right here, standard size Willys. Here's a factory 1.5 inch lift on a Willys. Okay, Willis, I know it's correctly Willis, but I'm so tired of fighting people in the comments and telling them to go look it up. I'm just calling it a Willys because I'm so sick and tired of people trying to tell me that when I say it's Willis, to tell me it's not. But anyway, the Willis, the lifted one here with the Extreme 35 package, this means re-geared, okay, to a 456 gear. Perfect scenario to run the 35s, perfect lift height to run the 35s, added little fender flares on here so that they actually are not going to be throwing rocks and stones all over the place, and we have the perfect offset of tires, not sticking out ridiculously wide and looking crazy and throwing crap everywhere. Done right. Okay, this whole thing is done right as a change from this to this. Pure function, everything about it. So lifted vehicles, do them the right way. If the dealer's doing it for you, make sure they're doing it on the right vehicle. Don't just assume they know what they're doing. Questions, comments, put them below. Thanks for watching.